and welcome back to my channel. It's Symiee and the YouTube is Dr. Symiee. If this is your first time, thank you, you're welcome. If this is your second, third, I just want to say thank you, and make sure to click the subscribe button, share, like, comment. Let's grow together and let's learn together. On this channel, I'll still be taking you through everything eye care. Today's video is going to be talking about how the eyes work. It's actually going to be like a vision crash course. If you're curious, stay tuned. Sight is a precious gift that we shouldn't take for granted. I've made mention of this before, that having to see the world, having to see images, having to see objects, see colors, know the beautiful things around us, and then having to lose sight, it's a bit difficult to comprehend. You always want to admire things, you would always want to see how beautiful the world looks. They say the eye is the window to the soul. It's a very unique and sustaining system. Quick overview of how we see. Basically, it's light. If there's no light, there is no seeing. So light has to be transmitted to an electric signal, which then goes to the brain, and then the brain interprets what we get to see. Now, so we're actually going to be talking about the eyes. And so I have like a model here. This is an eye model. So I'm going to be explaining them one after the other. So this is basically like the eye. Sorry, my human model is blue, but it's easy to understand. So the blue part is actually the white part of the eye, which is the sclera. I'm not going to bore you with the names because it can get boring, especially for the fact that it might not be your line of study, or it might not be your major concern. You just want to know how the eyes work. So I'm not going to bore you with, oh, this is this, this is that. I'm just going to say the simple things which we can understand. So this is the sclera, which is actually the white part of the eye. I'm going to be starting with the anterior part, and then we go deep inside. Okay, so let me open this model. Oops, sorry. Okay, good. So you have this here. I'm going to keep this on my laps. Firstly, we have the cornea. This is actually the cornea, right? It's the transparent film that covers the front of the eyes, and so this allows light pass through. And the fun fact is that this is the only part of the body that can be transplanted from one patient or one person to another without the fear of the body rejecting it, and that is because it is avascular, right? So there are no issues with cornea. Now we have this. This is actually the iris, right? I'm going to put it back here. So this is actually the iris. So we have the blue. Some people, in some patients, it's blue. In some people, it's green. But what we commonly know is brown. So the iris is usually brown. And the iris has this muscles. I'm not going to say the name so that you don't get bored with that. The iris has muscles which helps to control light from getting into the eyes. It controls actually the pupil size. So this side, which is the black dot, is what we call the pupil, right? So what the iris does is to control its size depending on the amount of light getting into the retina. So if the light is too bright, the pupils constrict. So you see that the pupils are very tiny. For example, you could do it, get a torchlight and then flash it into someone's eyes. You would see that the black part of the eye goes tiny. That's because the iris has controlled its muscles to make the pupils smaller. Now when you're in dim light, or when you turn off the torchlight which you've shone on the person, it becomes bigger, it becomes dilated. That's actually the word we use for it. And so I take off the iris. We have the lens. So with the lens, it's transparent actually. It's only in cases where you might have cataract that it then becomes cloudy. Or in this case, this is assumed to be a normal eye, so it's transparent, and it also helps to bend light which is getting into the retina. The lens also helps you to focus on images. Now this, because this is a model, This is actually called the vitreous gel. But because this is a model, it's made in this form. But inside our eyes, it's actually a gel. So that's why it's called a vitreous gel. It's jelly. And what it does is to hold the shape, or to hold the shape of the eyes, basically. Because, you know, the eyes are formed, there's a covering, yeah? So the eyes are formed that way. So the gel just holds the eye. If the gel isn't there, the eyes would actually collapse, right? And so now we have the retina. This is like a retina, right? All those parts. And then you can see the red and the blue. Those are the blood vessels, basically. So, and so this is the optic disc, which leads to the optic nerve where light is transmitted from. So with all my explanations, I'm going to just do a quick demonstration of how light basically works. So we start from the cornea, right? So light is coming from infinity at a distance, and then so it hits the cornea. Cornea reduces the intensity of light getting into the eyes. So also does the iris, does for the pupil. So the pupil also gets constricted because the amount of light getting into the eye is a lot. And so from there, it hits the lens. The lens refracts the light that gets into the eyes also. And it hits the gel. Remember I said this is jelly. So the light goes straight through the gel and then hits on the retina. And then the retina, from the retina, it takes the impulse, the nerve impulse, or the electrical signal which it has gotten, and then it goes through the optic nerve and goes through to the brain, and then the brain processes the images you see, either be it a cat, a dog, a phone, a fancy car, whatever you think you're seeing. So that is basically how the eye works. Now the importance of this video is basically because as time goes on, I'll be talking about things concerning the eyes, and so I don't want to be mentioning the cornea and we're wondering where is the cornea, or I'm mentioning the vitreous and then we're wondering where the vitreous is, and things like that. So I hope that you've been able to learn something about the eyes. I'll see you in my next video, but remember to subscribe, remember to like, share, comment, and do well to stick with me in my next video. Thank you.